Good morning, guys. So it is Monday morning, November 22nd. It's my birthday! Yay! I'm finally turning 30. Well, 30. It's kind of funny. Last week I made a video almost every day for a week, and then now I have not made a video for a week. So I got a little busy with other stuff, and I was socializing and I was doing land stuff, and I just didn't bother filming any of it. But if you read the blog that was released yesterday, things might be about to change for me in this adventure in WildChild. As if you guys have been following along, you know that a while ago I hired a local yacht broker to try to help me sell WildChild because I feel done with this adventure. Like, I've been alone on the ocean for such a long time. I'm now a very lonely girl, and I really feel like I'm ready to return to land life. So in the last few days, WildChild now has an offer on her. I don't know much about the people, but it's a young American couple up in the USVIs that are interested in buying WildChild. I've been doing a lot of work to sort of clean up WildChild lately. Like, there are small projects that are sort of unimportant to me that have been way down on the to-do list that, yeah, maybe someday I'll get to it. I've decided, a few weeks ago, because I'm trying to sell WildChild, I'd like her to be at her best. There are things that I can do easily that the new owners might be very hard for them and take a long time. So I figure, like, when I do sell WildChild, I want her to be at her best, like, so the new people kind of start with WildChild at peak performance. I didn't film yesterday, and I was going to. Yesterday I spent almost all day working on repairing the Mast camera. It's a really cool idea that I did for WildChild before I left Canada, is that on the first spreaders there's a Mast camera looking forward down at the boat, so looking at the forward half of the boat towards the bow and looking at the waters ahead. It means when you're sailing along in like the shallow Bahamas with lots of unmarked shoals and reefs, at the helm on the chart plotter you can see a bird's eye view on the camera to help you look ahead and avoid reefs and shoals. Also, if you're trying to land the big 40-foot yacht at a dock, when you're at the helm you can't even see the dock that you're trying to land on because it's lower than the sides. Well, with the Mast camera it helps you see to line up. So for the first year that the Mast camera worked, it was kind of a very nice feature to have on WildChild. But as you guys know, the salty ocean destroys everything you own, especially delicate electronics. And B&G had charged me, I think, $800 or $600 for this stupid little camera that didn't even survive a year out here. It's kind of pathetic. So I still like the idea of the Mast camera, and it was something that I wanted to have, but it would be very, very difficult to replace, and it's very technical. About a month ago, I did buy a replacement Mast camera, like a IP68 rated, I think, outdoor security camera. But to mount it, I have to go up the mast, and I can't send myself up the mast. And then there's data communication problems with the language protocols, and it's quite technical to put this camera, like foreign Chinese camera, into the B&G software and have it be able to read each other's data. So yesterday, I'll show you pictures, I ripped apart my helm station and I basically wired the camera directly to the chart plotter, and it was a very long technical fight. It took hours, but eventually I found a signal format that was compatible and could read, and then I came to the mast where I accessed those wires from the chart plotter at the mast to make sure that I could connect it there, and then the next step will be to go up the mast and mount the camera up there. Like, you would want to test a system before you go climb up and install it. So I've been sort of proving my way and testing the system as I go. Only I asked Teddy Bear if he would do the winchy and grind me up the mast. And he said, "Sure, Captain Lexi, I would love to help you, but you know, his muscles are not quite as strong as a human, and there's no way he could grind the winch." So I've been trying to ask other sailors in this bay, like, "Hello, can you maybe winch me up my mast, please?" Because that's just one thing you really can't do solo. You can't winch yourself up the mast. And another project that I've been working on for weeks is the shininess of the cockpit. So, you know, I've redone the bright work on the combings. I mean, they don't look perfect and new, but they are in good condition. Also, the gel coat in the cockpit. Gel coat is designed that you can sand it down, so over the years, you know, it gets kind of deep stains in there, so I've sanded down all of the entire cockpit. As you guys know, I did the repair, like I filled in the hole there and then repainted that. And then recently I've repainted the other side. And, dun dun dun, I replaced the screws that were rusting in the manual bilge pump with proper stainless steel screws, ground it all down, and then I've painted the cockpit. Like I repainted everything below the cushions to make WildChild the shiniest and prettiest she's ever been. For this morning, the project that Teddy's going to help me work on is we have to create a mounting bracket to mount the new mast camera up on the spreader. It does have a mounting bracket, but then I would have to drill 3 new holes in the spreader. And if you're a sailor and you understand things like structural integrity, you really don't want to be drilling holes in your masts or spreaders because you weaken them and you want them to always be as strong as possible. There are already 2 holes in the spreader for the existing camera. So what I'm going to do is I have under here this thick aluminum plate that I had used for the original bow roller that didn't work. Is we're going to get the grinder, we're going to cut it, and then we're going to make a mounting plate, hopefully that will fit, where this mount can be drilled into the plate, and then the plate can have the holes positioned wherever they need to be to take advantage of the existing holes already in the spreader. And for that, we need tools. Lexi no likey. The piece of aluminum plate that I do have on board that I was going to use as my mounting plate is like maybe 5 millimeters not wide enough. Like I won't be able to get all the screws in, so I can use it if I only mount 2 of the screws into it and just leave the 3rd screw knot out. You know, would 2 screws be sufficient to hold the mast camera in violent conditions? It's hard to tell. Or, Teddy Bear, do you feel like I should go to shore and try to find a better piece of aluminum for this? Teddy Bear is always so strict with me. Ah, damn it. Teddy says if you're gonna do a job, you might as well do it right the first time, and Teddy says, Lexi, you've already launched the dinghy, you might as well dinghy into the marina. Go to the welding shop and see if you can get a better piece of aluminum for this. He's right. A job worth doing is worth doing right the first time. Alright, let's jump in the dinghy and go to shore. After getting heat stroke down here 3 times in the month of August, every day the UV index is extreme, and I take it seriously. I bring my shade umbrella because it's not worth it to get burned. And this is the metal shop in the Prickly Bay Boatyard. The guys in here are really cool, a bunch of mechanics and welders. They're excellent, they do really good work, and they'll work with you. They're very easy to get along with, and they've always helped me out. It only takes about 10 minutes to get a piece cut the right size that I need, and then we're on our way back home. Okie dokie, teddy bear, like you said, best to do it right the first time. So now we've come back with a bigger piece of aluminum that will nicely fit the mounting bracket for the camera, and we'll have lots of room to drill and embed the screws. Pitter patter, let's get at her. So I took the Sharpie, I drew the template, I marked where I need to drill the holes, and then we're going to tap in number 10 screws. We need to find screws to mount the bracket into the aluminum, and the good news is I do have a gigantic pile of stainless steel assorted screws to choose from. Did you ever play Legos when you were a kid? Now that we found and selected the mounting screws that we need, we have to go over and we have to figure out which tap that we need, and then which size drill bit to drill the perfect size hole. Then we make the holes and we tap and thread. I finished drilling the holes that I need, and now we just have to tap them. And yes, I did remember to lubricate my taps so I don't break them this time. I broke my 1024 last week, and we're good. Now that I've finished tapping in the new holes, we're going to test the screws to make sure the threads are all good. I wasn't able to find screws that were the exact length that I needed, so these ones are going to be extra long, and we're going to have to cut them off with the grinder. Let's try putting this in place now. I've switched the cutting blade onto the grinder, and we have to cut the ends of those two long bolts off the back of the mounting plate. We got to make them so they're flush. I use this little piece of wood as my workbench, and then because I don't want the grinding dust inside the boat, so now we have to cut the tips off. Okie dokie guys, the next step of the project for the mast camera is I have to go up and down the mast a couple of times to the spreader. First I have to remove the old one, come down, mark the template, drill the new one, go up, mount the new mount, come down, get all the electrical tools, and then go back up again to do all the electrical connections and wiring. And I have a friend that has just boarded my boat, and he's going to help send me up the mast.
I thought you were talking to me for a second.
My generous and anonymous friend had come over to spend the afternoon. He had to put me up and down the mast 3 times because I broke the project into 3 pieces. I was up there for most of the day. It was quite a technical fight, but as you guys know, Captain Lexi's the girl that can fix or build anything. You have to appreciate that I'm in Rolly Prickly Bay, where the ocean swell hits the boat on the beam. I'm 20 feet in the air, swinging back and forth at the mast spreader. I'm trying to use delicate tools, and when trying to thread the delicate screws or hold parts into place, I need my hands. You sailors know how much Neptune wants to sabotage the project. The good news is, I only dropped 1 screw and the lid to my Loctite, but we recovered both.
Okay, stick your face in front of the camera. Smile. There you go. All right.
Okay, that project took 4 days. This is the end of the 4th day, but I have very exciting news. And the mast camera, yay! This is the sweet, sweet view of victory. Lexi wins, took 4 days, but I win. What a clever idea, huh? Like, having a mast camera looking forward for rocks and shoals and bommies, and when you're coming into a dock, it lets you see the dock. And with the B&G, you can do a split screen, so you can have your chart plotter on one side as you're coming in to navigate your way through the rocks. You can look at the charts, then you can look down from the mast camera, looking ahead for anything that looks like it might be a shallow reef. And then with the forward scan sonar depth sounder, you can have it scanning forward and back, looking for any underwater obstacles or rocks before you hit them. That's what makes it a brilliant system. Look at how sexy that is. You have your chart plotter showing your location. You have your forward mast camera showing you ahead. You have your forward scan sonar looking at the waters ahead. And you have your radar scanning the anchorage around you. It'll literally paint every boat anchored around me. Captain Lexi certainly is a conqueror. She's the kind of girl that can get stuff done. And now WildChild is ready for her new owners.